Hi, everybody. Good morning. We're going to start off with a lightning round, and it really is a lightning round. We're going to have 7 different speakers come through, so you're getting 7 speakers instead of just 1, so you all pick the right talk to come to. We're going to start off with the CEO of Drivetime. His name is Niko Vuori. Drivetime is a company that people like me who live in Los Angeles are very excited about because it might make our commutes a little bit easier and a little bit more fun. So we're going to welcome Niko to the stage, and he'll tell you a little bit more about the company and what they're doing. Of course.
It is working? Yes, excellent. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here so early. Thank you for the introduction. My name is Niko Vuori. I'm the founder and CEO of a company called Drivetime, and we are the world's first and so far only developer of games and other interactive entertainment, specifically targeting the driver of the car. Usually I get a "are you crazy" kind of thing here, but bear with me for a few minutes. That's all I got. I will tell you why this makes sense and why now. But before we go into this, I'm going to ask you guys to play a quick video, 30 seconds. We'll explain what our first product is. Should be pretty self-explanatory. Cue it.
Welcome to Drive Time. Which Muppet regularly appeared onto The Muppet Show?
A.
A. Kermit the Frog. Nice job.
What was Marilyn Monroe's real name? B. Norma Jean Baker.
All right. So that pretty much explains what our first product is. It is a mobile app, downloaded in the App Store. We use speech recognition technologies to let you use your voice to play games. It's actually designed to be played entirely in the background, but for the purposes of marketing, we kind of had to show what it is. But you can actually have your mapping app in the foreground and play entirely hands-free and completely voice-controlled. Going to give you a little context here. So human beings, we've been hardwired to play games, right? We play every day, every minute of the day. Developers such as ourselves here, we're developing game experiences for every single context of the day. And context is the important part here. We have games that are designed to be played over a period of years. We have games that are designed to be played with lots of people at the same time. We have games that are designed to be played in a few minutes, you know, when you're snatching a few moments here and there. We have games that are bridging the world of physical and digital. Games like Pokemon Go, really exciting things happening in AR and VR. And so what's happening is, you know, because we're hardwired to play games, it's pretty much a human basic need. Developers are filling those gaps throughout the day. But there's one huge context of the day that is completely untouched by interactivity, by interactive entertainment, by gaming. And that is the commuter drive. We spend, in North America, about an hour a day, on average, driving to and from work, 5 days a week, 50 weeks a year. It's the ultimate daily habit. You're not going to believe these numbers unless you live in LA, because everybody seems to be here. 155 million workers in America. Of those 155 million, 110 million drive to and from work by themselves every single day. It's a mind-blowing number. By themselves. They're sitting in their cars, they're by themselves, they have nothing else to do except listen to passive audio. Radio, SiriusXM, the same streaming music, the same podcasts. One-way audio, not interactive. You're not doing anything. Why not? Why shouldn't we be interactive? Well, up until now, very good reason, in order to play a game, in order to be interactive, you need to control it somehow. And of course, those controls up until this point have been completely tactile, physical. So you need to look at a screen, you need to touch something, you need to swipe. That's not safe, not good for drivers. But there has been a fairly remarkable explosion in the voice world. Of course, Amazon and Google have been pushing their smart speakers. We've gone from a completely cold start in 2014 to over 80 million units in market now. And with that explosion has basically come this incredible platform, software and hardware. But the software part is what interests us. As a result of these smart speakers basically becoming the fastest selling hardware consumer device ever in the history of mankind, faster even than the smartphone 10 years ago with the first iPhone, smart speakers have surpassed even that. And with that has come an incredible explosion of software and other tools that are available now to developers for the first time. So Google and Amazon and Apple and various others have made their speech recognition software available in the cloud, and it's accessible to a developer and deliverable over cellular data connections onto a mobile device in the car, on the go, in a way that allows you to use your voice as a controller with 98% accuracy, give or take, and it's going to get better, to create a compelling entertainment experience, a gaming experience. And that's where we're coming in. So I said before, we're the world's first, and so far we're the only developers. Maybe we're the only crazy ones enough to go and do this. But we absolutely 100% believe that this is just the very, very beginning. This is the tip of the spear. The context of the car, the context of being stuck in traffic with your hands on the wheel and your eyes on the road, is the perfect context for voice to become the primary method of interactivity, not just for controlling the car, windscreen wipers on, change the AC to 67, but also to actually create compelling, engaging entertainment experiences, i.e. play games in the car. So with that, my time is probably up. Oh, in a few seconds. I'm actually a few seconds over. But thank you very much for your time. Thank you for being here first thing in the morning. Once again, my name is Niko, founder of Drivetime. Play games while you drive.
Spent 90 minutes in my car yesterday commuting from the west side of Los Angeles to Burbank, so I'm very excited about that. Anyone else who's from Los Angeles can attest to that. Next up, we have Ned Lerner. Ned Lerner is the CEO of Hearo.Live, which is billed as an e-stadium, and it's kind of bringing viewers together on live streams. I'll let him tell you a little bit more about it. It is a very interesting bit of tech.
Okay. All right. Hello, folks. Let's see. Hi, I'm Ned Lerner, the founder and CEO of Hearo.Live. The internet has a problem. The more time we spend connected, the more disconnected we feel. Why can't constant connectivity bring me closer to my family and friends? That's the challenge I gave my team. But first, a bit about me. I wrote the game that Electronic Arts based their IPO on, Chuck Yeager's Advanced Flight Trainer. My second startup, Looking Glass Technologies, invented using texture maps in computer games. My third startup, Multitude, created Fireteam, perhaps the first MOBA a decade before League of Legends, and then FireTalk, a multi-million user internet voice conferencing platform years before Skype. I was the CTO of Maxis when The Sims was the world's top game, and for the past 13 years, I was director of engineering for Sony PlayStation, where my groups helped make the PS4 a winner. Sadly, the cooler the tech, the more I missed watching and playing side by side with my friends and family. Headphones, 3D glasses, and VR all made it worse. How do we get the people glued to their devices to connect to other humans? Is tech separating us? Are we doomed to Peter Guber's prophecy? The internet is an audience of one, 1,000,000 times over. Happily, my experience building a voice social network was our magic bullet. After a long hunt, we rediscovered what the Greeks and Romans found out long ago with their amphitheaters and colosseums. They created powerful bonding experiences by bringing everyone together side by side. To connect human to human, we need a modern equivalent of a Greek theater or a Roman stadium, a place where we watch spectacles while talking, cheering, and making noise with our friends and nearby fans. That's what Hearo.Live is. It's a platform that lets IP owners bring their global audience into their own smart, scalable virtual venue. In our e-venues, the audience gets a front row experience without clutter or distraction, watching and talking like they are sitting next to their friends. Like a physical venue, the audience is live, vocal, and connected. Our e-venues love scale. They are not a big mosh pit or bleacher seats. We give each group of friends their own luxury box with sound insulation so that it's easy to talk over the crowd. Then we mix the boxes to sound like a real stadium, blending up to thousands of voices, claps, or cheers, creating thousands of times the engagement of standard live streaming. Our virtual venues are smart. They suppress heckling and let friends manage their own space, so no one is stuck with jerks, and it's never too loud. And unlike TV, we use the touchscreen to turn passive ads into more valuable, clickable calls to action. Whoop. We built it, patented it, and have started pilots with mobile games and esports folks. We're here to serve you, the game makers, to give you a place to gather your global community together. letting you connect and engage with your customers, thousands or millions at a time. We're focusing on esports because unlike sports, esports teams don't have their own venues. The right venues make sports, media, and games more exciting and more profitable. Thankfully, virtual venues don't cost $12,000 per seat to build or require fighting rush hour traffic, just a phone. If you've got, oh, almost. To see us in action, check out, well, can you run our little video? We're actually doing our first event tomorrow with a gamer, King G. But this is what it looks like. Maybe.
Okay, you're on.
Not looking good.
Oh, yeah. Do something. Just casting plastic down like Chris not getting the Narbar. Just get it. Come on, little Chris. And in the right away, like
so that's a screen capture of an iPhone 1080p with the voice. That's all I got. So check us out tomorrow. Thanks.
Just keep in line with the lightning round going. It's very fast. It's very lightning-esque. Next up, we have Randy Saaf. He's the CEO of Lucid Site. Randy made my head spin talking about blockchains, and he's just an incredibly bright guy, and this is a very interesting topic to a lot of people in kind of the future of gaming. So this is Randy.
Thanks so much. Hi, I'm Randy Saaf, CEO of Lucid Site. Lucid Site we're an independent game studio. We specialize in play-to-own gaming. What we mean by play-to-own gaming is that ownership is a first principle in our game. When somebody plays one of our games and grinds away and spends money in our game, we expect them to own the in-game items, which means they can sell the in-game items or give them away to other people. So we take a lot of inspiration from Magic the Gathering because we think it's the closest analog we have to digital ownership. With Magic the Gathering, you own the cards, you play the cards, you can collect the cards, and the cards can appreciate in value. In fact, one recently sold for $80,000. Richard Garfield created Magic the Gathering. He wrote an essay 20 years ago. And this essay, he kind of goes into what makes Magic special. And he says, there is, of course, no game without a metagame. And what he means by metagame, it took me actually a while to really think about what he meant by metagame. It's how the game interacts with the real world. So all games interact with the real world. They have a set of rules, but your experience is very different depending on how you're playing the game in the circumstances. So take poker, for example. If you're playing poker with your family at home with matchsticks, it's a very different experience than high-stakes poker in Las Vegas. And then you fast forward to Zynga poker, social casinos. That's a very different experience. Same rules, same game, completely different takeaway. Another good example is Dungeons & Dragons. Any role-playing game, if you're playing with a group of story-oriented players, it's a very different experience than if you're playing with people who are just sort of following the rules. So this is probably the most important slide in our deck. What this is it tells you how our games interact with the real world. And in particular, the way our games interact with the real world is our in-game items have sold and resold for very high dollar amounts. So we have an official license with Major League Baseball. We have a game called MLB Champions. You can play it at mlbc.app. And the game is a reimagining of what baseball cards could be for a modern era of kids who don't want physical tchotchkes. They're just not, they're Fortnite players, they're digital natives, they live on their iPhone. They don't want physical collectibles. But there is still that part of the brain that likes collecting things, likes completing sets, connecting with brands with affinity. So we reimagined that with our MLB Champions games. And you can see this Bryce Harper here resold. So we didn't actually sell it for this amount. This is what a player sold to another player for $7.3 thousand. And our largest sales have been some of these teams. The Red Sox sold for almost $100,000. We also have a space MMO called CSC, which is a classic space economic game where you mine, refine, craft, and build spaceships. And the idea is when people do these actions in the game and grind away, they can actually own these spaceships and sell them to other players. So notably in this game, we sold that space station for $54,000. We said we would only make one. You can craft it, but it's going to take a lot of grinding. And what's notable about that is, well, one is I think that's one of the highest sale items of a single in-game item in history. But it's also that person became a huge advocate of the game. They became our largest community advocate. They run the guilds. He runs his own guild. He's a super fan. And that's part of what happens when you have these super whales in your game is they actually become your biggest advocates. So there's a lot of social feedback, good things around these high dollar amounts. And this only can be accomplished because of blockchain technology, the fact that there is no natural cap on what these could someday be worth on a resale basis. It's pure supply and demand. There's one of those. So he basically said, I want to own only that one, and nobody spends that money thinking that they're just wasting that money. It's very different from how you spend money in a Candy Crush. When you spend $100 in Candy Crush, you feel like you're $100 poor. You hope you get $100 of entertainment. When you buy a Jackson Pollock painting for $1 million and hang it on your wall, you don't feel $1 million poor. So that's a fundamental difference between kind of traditional video games with the in-app purchase and the free-to-play models, and here where you have some items of ownership. So the biggest misconception is that blockchain gaming is just for crypto enthusiasts who own Bitcoin or are paying for things with Ether. Our games are traditional video games built in traditional graphics engines like Unity and Unreal. They play on databases, on regular games databases. Only the items of value are secure to the blockchain, and every purchase in our game can be done with a credit card or an in-app purchase. So I really want the one take-home, I think, for this. You're going to hear a lot about blockchain. You have the guys from Forte are going to be, Kevin Chow from Forte. You're going to have Brock Pierce later. You're going to hear a lot about it. I think our take on it is, in particular, that blockchain is a feature in a game. It's something you can add to create digital ownership, a new way for your fans to enjoy the game. It doesn't have to take over the entire game. So if you have any questions, we have a booth outside, and thanks for your time.
And Zelda music, that's what I was waiting for. I feel it's appropriate for me. Next up, we have Mike Wann. He is the CEO of Mubcrush. Here he is right here. Mubcrush is helping content creators and different streamers reach wider audiences by streaming simultaneously on lots of different platforms, but I'm going to let him tell you a lot more about it.
All right. Thank you so much. Hi, my name is Mike Wann, CEO of Mubcrush. To give you some high-level overviews of what we are, it's pretty simple, actually. We're a technology and media company, and what we do is we help creators and gamers get more famous and also generate revenue. Best way to think about our technology is it's platform agnostic, whether you're on an iPad, you're on an Android device, you're on PC, Mac, or even if you're just running a GoPro Hero 7. You can basically connect to us, and what we do is we allow you to be able to broadcast in real time to all the social platforms where all your fans and audiences are. As a part of that, the other thing that we are also able to do is be able to bring you sponsorships and dollars incremental so you can actually do what you love. To give you some overviews of what's happened in the last 12 months, as you guys know, if you think about what you do on a daily basis, we're all on multiple social platforms. In the studies of what we saw with gamers, this is exactly what's happening, and they have YouTube gaming, YouTube accounts, they have Twitch accounts, they have Facebook accounts, and they're growing their audiences in all these places. This is the first time in which they're actually able to take advantage of all that audience and being able to get recognized for that value. So if you think about it, we have 250,000 creators on the platform nowadays, and if you look at the total reach, we reach 1.7 billion aggregate subscribers across all these platforms. If you think about it from a sort of professional standpoint, these are folks that actually really care about their audience reach, and more importantly, they're invested in this as a talent. We've worked in the last year, worked with folks over in Asia to work with Wann, which is the largest MCN in all of Asia, Southeast Asia, as well as 11 of the top MCNs globally. If we just take a look at the dollars that we're paying out incrementally to what they're earning on the platforms and tipping, in Q4 alone, we paid out well over $1 million in just to the creators for incremental value that they're bringing. So, quick recap: we're in 6 languages today. We have over 1 million hours of original content that's in our library, and more importantly, we generate over 100,000 hours of original broadcasts every single month. The thing that's of real value for us as we continue to scale that folks are really excited about is the fact that we have this platform called Go Live Get Paid. And what it is the world's first live streaming ad platform for professionals and amateur gamers to be able to bring sponsorships to the table. You can run sponsorship campaigns with full social distribution, delivery, and reporting. And we've paid, like I said, 7 figures out in 1 quarter, and we're going to triple it this year, right? If you look at the brands that's here, I mean, these are some of the top brands that's in the gaming space as well as in the entertainment space, and we're just continuing to expand. I'm going to show you guys a quick little reel of some of the things that we've done for these brands.
Can you feel the excitement, baby? Yeah, let's go.
It's like a crazy mix. I mean, I don't even know. You know, you go to the big robots and they come together and they just beat the crap out of things. That's what I like, so.
All right. I'm gonna show you guys. I'm gonna show you guys the trailer.
Today's stream is brought to you by Jack in the Box.
September 21st, guys, it's obviously tomorrow. So like I said, if you guys do want to get that, tickets are on sale in the description down below.
And with that live action was brought to you by...
Introducing Pizza Portal Pickup from Little Caesars.
One more quick shout out to my sponsor, Annihilation. Join me February 1st, 9 p.m. for Viceland.
For a new film coming out called Action Point.
So what we saw as we were helping creators and gamers sort of aggregate their audiences and sort of grow, what we're seeing is that they grow as organically, 3% or more, like just by using our platform. And what we also saw was that esports teams started using our technology. So when we started talking to these folks, what we realized is that there's a real need for them to be able to aggregate their data and, more importantly, be able to sort of be able to reach their audiences at scale. So with that, we're actually launching this quarter esports management dashboard that allows them to look at unified reach of all the team players, their social stats, the data that's coming around it, and also campaign management in a single destination. The good news on this is, because of the organic growth that we've generated on this, we already see today over 20 teams that have signed up with us and are ready to go live on this platform. And that brings Mubcrush to have the largest Nielsen-rated esports inventory in live streaming in esports. I think in the United States by the end of the quarter. So we're very excited about this. This is going to be a lot of fun. One of the things that we're very excited about is that this is continuing to be the world that is evolving, where the fragmented audiences are now being able to sort of be accessed together by these creators, and they can make money off of it. Thank you.
Cranking along, everybody. That's 4 out of 7 planned speakers in our lightning rounds. Next up, we have Nick Fortugno. He is the co-founder of Playmatics. Playmatics is a gaming and tech company that works on gamification, educational games, lots of other stuff. Nick.
Yeah, I should have paused to come up here so that I walked on with the music. So I'm here to talk about augmented reality and a project that I'm working on with a team called Hello Team Solar. We are working on augmented reality games, but a particular kind of augmented reality games. And I think when we talk about augmented reality, like really 2 ideas come into people's minds right away that we're trying to move away from. The first is this highly cinematic, very, very powerful, very, very, very real looking AR that we associate with things like Magic Leap and HoloLens. Unfortunately, those require headsets that look like this that cost in the thousands of dollars. So the idea that this is publicly available in the near future is not very likely. On the other hand, we often think of AR on the phone in a more limited capacity and often a very single-player one. Most AR applications involve scanning things on tables or QR codes, and they're not experiences that exist in public settings or in very large scales. And the key example we have of a game that has AR in the public space, we recognize if we play it enough is that the AR itself is ancillary. Like, the AR is not what's interesting about the game, and many users never use the AR at all. But the idea that AR could be used in a public setting by many people, that it could become part of an everyday experience is not unusual for us. We've all engaged in this, and I guarantee you every single one of you in the audience has engaged in it. You just engaged in it like this. We've been augmenting our experience with audio for decades, and we use that to create aesthetic and playful experiences for ourselves and for others. And this has been used in a number of different capacities in the world. Groups like Improv Everywhere and Museum Hacks have been using augmented audio for the last 10 years or more to build playful experiences in public that take nothing more than a phone. And we know that interactive art has engaged the public in similar ways, using audio and visuals. If you're familiar with New York City, this is the 34th Street subway station, and the green thing you're looking at is a sensor system where you can activate sound and light for the entire subway platform just by waving your hands in front of it. So the idea of augmentation as a way to create a kind of playful space for people is something that we already know about. It's just that visual AR on the phone has not really done it yet. And that's what we're interested in creating with Hello Team Solar. Can AR be a playground? Can it function like a playground, where it's a space that people can occupy together and play together, but that's lightweight and doesn't really take much more than you coming to the space to occupy it? And so to this purpose, we're building a set of technologies based on Google's AR core that allow users to join consistent AR games and play together in those spaces in simple games that require nothing more than a phone. Our first title, which we're exhibiting outside right now, is called Under the Sea, R because AR developers are very original. And in this game, we invite users to join into a simple silent disco-style dance party. When you load up the game, you can load it up in an ad hoc way in any location, but we're really hoping that we can establish this in public spaces in permanent ways, like in municipal centers or in parks or in corporate centers, so that anyone could simply scan and start a game with other people. In the game, fish appear in the environment, and if you follow them, you hear music that starts to play in a rhythm action style. And that as multiple people follow fish, the music builds up. And as the music builds up, you eventually form the AR world around you. And if you play exceptionally well, if you spend the time to learn the patterns of the fish and work with the team of people where you're with, you can build the AR world up to an apex point. And what is most interesting about this to me is that because the AR anchor that establishes the entire world is something that can be shared, even if you're not playing the game, you can watch people play and build the AR world. So the game is not simply a game for the 8 people who are following the fish. It can be a game for a crowd of people watching this AR world get built. And that is an idea for how AR can both be publicly available, but also a kind of spectacle in a public space. So as Hello Team Solar, what we're interested in doing is finding new ways for AR to exist in public consumption, ways of making AR easy to access, playful, existent in permanent spaces, and a thing that can be a community organizing event the way that public art can be. And we're looking right now for spaces in which we can run this game, places where we can build bespoke content to allow this AR playground to form, and other uses of this public, easily accessible AR technology. Thank you very much.
Everybody see the fish that look like a coffee cup? I like that. Up next, we have Dave Durnil. He's the head of gaming and advanced content at Qualcomm. They are developing different mobile games, AR experiences. I'll let Dave tell you a lot more about it.
Thanks. I'm Dave Durnil, head of gaming at Qualcomm. Today, I'm just going to briefly highlight a few innovations we're doing for gaming on mobile devices. And Qualcomm, if we look at mobile gaming, the whole market overall, mobile gaming is huge. In terms of revenue, the total revenue in mobile gaming surpasses PC and console revenue combined. And today, there's right around 2.1 billion people out there playing games on mobile devices. And we see that continuing to grow. And so over the years, Qualcomm has been there from the beginning of mobile gaming. We've been driving a lot of the innovation. And I'm going to highlight just a couple new things that are coming to mobile gaming soon. And so HDR10, we see this as a new technology that's coming. HDR10's been around a long time. It's been on video. We're bringing that to gaming. And so basically today you have the standard HDR, and a lot of games are even playing HDR on 4K displays. But typically the displays on mobile devices have a very low brightness level. It's usually like 100 to 200 nits, and that's a pretty low brightness level. And then games today on mobile devices, they can only support around 16 million colors. And so what we're looking at is how do we take that visual quality and mobile gaming today and move it to the next level? And that's really with true HDR10. You get 10-bit per channel. I don't want to get too technical, but basically what that gives you is over 1 billion colors that you would have in your images that you're rendering out on a mobile device. And then in terms of displays and the technology that's coming, these displays will be 10 times brighter than what you have today. And so this is one of the areas that we're investing in. A lot of technology both in the display driver and the hardware, as well as modifying the tone mapper and all this other cool stuff within game engines. And so we've engaged a lot of studios who are going to be bringing HDR10 games to market, as well as many phone manufacturers that will be starting to build phones with HDR10 displays and putting this out. So this is really the next generation of gaming that you'll see on devices in terms of the visual quality and where that's going. And another area that we've been investing pretty heavily in is AI. And AI has been around for a while. They're doing quite a bit on PC. You know, they're training these models. You have these AI bots. You know, I saw the AI bot for Dota 2, and you know, they can beat about 94% of all the humans in the world. But AI on mobile is quite different, and the way we're looking at it is really for esports. In other parts of the world, esports on mobile is really big. A lot of other countries, you know, they don't necessarily have PCs or consoles. A lot of people are playing on their games, and there's a huge market for esports on mobile. And so last week we had announced a partnership with Vivo in China, as well as Tencent and their AI labs, and working with us. And we have dedicated AI hardware in mobile devices today. And where we're going with this is we're looking at training models where you take the best esports players in the world and you have them train these models. And then if you're an up-and-comer, you know, you're trying to get into esports, how do I get into competition? I'm going to go to regionals. I'm going to go to the championship. I want to train. And so what you'll do is you'll end up being able to play against these AI-trained models with some of the best players in the world to get better. And where we see this going is basically not just for training, and maybe in a business sense that could turn into a really interesting subscription model where people would pay every month to, you know, get the best esports players that have been, you know, updated with these models and start training to get better at esports. But also in mobile in general, AI is going to move a lot faster in gaming than it will on PC. And so a lot of the innovation that's happening there continues to grow both on the edge and on-device training. And the other part is, let's say that I'm trying to form a squad and I need a 4th player. Well, maybe I could then have a subscription model, or I could buy, you know, one of the best esports players in the world, and he could play on my team. And then we adjust the latency and things like that. But other parts of training, you know, like now, a lot of people want to get good at Fortnite, and, you know, they're even paying people to coach them and how to play or to get better. They're watching a ton of YouTube videos. But with AI training, what they could do is the AI could be running while you're playing, and it could actually show you what moves it would make and overlay that while you're playing. And so you can get better with an actual AI trainer on the device. And so these are some of the innovations we're working on right now. And I think that's all the time I have. But thank you.
We've reached the end. We promised 7 speakers, and we got 7 speakers. They said it couldn't be done. Up next, we have Juan Castanaeda. He is the CEO of StudioBando. They are the makers of Super Best Ghost Game, which is adorable. But they are also working on creating an animation company in Colombia. So let's welcome Juan to the stage.
Hi, folks. Thanks, Patrick. So I realize the title of this presentation is a little odd, Astronauts in Bogota. The reason for that is that in around 2010, the idea of a Colombian being an animator working in a large production was sort of like the idea of wanting to be an astronaut. It was something that normal people wouldn't really do, and it was something that Colombian people certainly didn't feel like they could do. So this is the story of how we brought some of these astronauts down to Colombia and helped create that belief in that community. So at the time, we're just a couple of fresh-faced kids. We've just graduated from college as animators in North America. But we actually decided to return to Colombia, that's Bogota, because we want to help develop the industry there. So the first thing we do is try to understand what's really the mindset at the time. And what we find is there's a lot of pioneering game studios that are just emerging. There's a lot of commercial houses doing visual effects work. There's a smaller animation festival, stuff like that. But underlying all of this, the people producing the content are all very young. A lot of them are self-taught. There's not as much access to education in these fields. And part of the reason for that is that in Colombia, families want their kids to grow up to be engineers or doctors or lawyers. Maybe not so much like that last guy. But they don't want, they don't think you can make a real career out of animation or video games. So we decided to create the Bogota ACM SIGGRAPH chapter, and we get together with a group of the most brilliant artists and animators at the time in Colombia, and we set out to inspire the folks first and get the belief that, hey, this is something that you could also do. This is a real career. And so to that end, we bring an interesting lineup of speakers the first year, which are a couple of just graduated kids like us that got hired as interns at DreamWorks and Pixar, and we also bring a couple of super experienced visual effects artists from the industry that worked on The Matrix, Avatar, stuff like that. And we introduce them to the people in Colombia, and they feel like, wow, these guys are just like us. These guys are just getting started, and these other ones are experienced in a full career. That could be us. And so the first year, the event is a great success. We have around 800 people. The presenters are getting swarmed with like interviews, young people wanting autographs. It's like they're movie stars. The government takes notes, and so we get a lot of support from the Ministry of Telecommunications of Colombia that helps us grow the event year after year. So once people are excited, we start wondering, well, what value can we actually bring through the animation community? And so we start organizing these events throughout the year, like design challenges to keep people interested in the process. We have local showcases of talent so that studios locally are sharing their processes and information like that. We host portfolio reviews so that people are getting used to the critique mindset that is kind of taken for granted here in the US and Europe. We're advising government institutions on the best way to conduct these educational programs, and so that we are able to produce industry professionals as opposed to just software operators. And we begin connecting the community to each other and also to the outside world. And so here are some of the pictures of the community with the speakers. We're hosting events where there's like gallery showcases of local artists. It's integrated during the event with Twitter and Facebook. That's the Minister of Telecommunications of Colombia posing with some artwork from a community member in the hopes of actually winning that piece of artwork through a contest that we were holding. This is a quote from Don Ernster, the director of human talent at Walt Disney Animation Studios. And that was really what we were trying to set out to do at the time. So that's something that we're really proud of. So at this point, things start coming full circle. And bear in mind, this is over the course of around 10 years that we're holding this regular event each year. This is now the most recent one, about 8,000 people taking place in the largest conference hall in Colombia. We're now able to bring high-profile speakers such as the co-director of Coco up here, Adrian Molina, the director of Book of Life, Leon Topaz, the director of DreamWorks' new short film. But the really interesting thing is they've become involved in the community. So Liron actually opened an animation school in Colombia, trained folks, and then later hired them at one of his companies. And then over here, Stephen Regulus, the creator of Massive Software, actually moved his studio operation to Colombia and hired a lot of local talent. And that's his company now. When Cartoon Network came to Colombia, they reached out to the community because they wanted to hear what young people were doing in terms of creative content. And so we held a process through which we're helping people understand how to pitch a show to a television network. And we're doing this in conjunction with Cartoon Network. But the thing we're most proud of is that throughout these years, the people who are now running the event are the early community members who are so passionate and just loved attending. And they decided to get involved all as volunteers, and it's now pretty much all in their hands. So thanks very much to them, and thank you very much.